This Nashville DFS and Underdog Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your money on Underdog Fantasy with their new Pick 8. Sign up today with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to Rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome to Friday, everybody who celebrates. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. We have made it, Cody. We have made it to the end of another week. We have made it to race weekend because guess what? Tonight, we have trucks on Friday night.
Truck night in America. Let's go.
We haven't been able to say that in a very long time.
It's been too long, Rod. Love when they're on Friday nights. Much needed. Been a long week, and we've made it to Friday. We got to relax with the Truck Series tonight. Enjoy some great racing this weekend. So I'm excited.
Indeed. In Nashville, Tennessee, like I said, a city that's near and dear to my heart. I do love the Nashville area. I do enjoy that whole entire. I mean, again, it's kind of dumb to say I love Nashville because and you got to love Nashville, right? But I really do. I enjoyed all the time that I used to spend down around that area. And I wish someday that I can go out and watch a race out there because I feel like that would be just a beautiful place to watch a race.
I think it definitely would. Nashville's a great place, and the track looks like a great place as well.
It sure does. So, of course, this is the DFS and Underdog Picks edition of the show, which means we're going to give you our favorite DFS plays and our underdog plays. However, because trucks are tonight, we understand that a lot of you listening on Saturday won't be able to get the information for the Truck Series. So we are going to still give out at least one truck play for each for our underdog and for our DFS. But that's a bonus to those of you who are watching live on YouTube. And for those of you who continue to watch live on YouTube, consider it your little prize for watching us on YouTube and a special thank you. But again, we are going to load up on Xfinity and Cup drivers for those of you who listen in the traditional sense because we get it. I mean, even us, we're busy folks and we know that we can't always get to the shows exactly when we want to, but we'll still give you pertinent information.
Yeah, I love it, Rob.
Yes, you do love it. All right. So let's love this as well. Make sure to check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. They are, and they've already started their top 10 fantasy football preview series. QBs and tight ends episodes are already live. Never too early for the National Football League. I'm never going to get that down. It doesn't matter. Nick Fortune checking into the chat saying, afternoon, Hot Rod and Sassy Cody. Cody, when you're writing your first article on pillow fighting, maybe you should ask Rod about chips and queso from last night's podcast.
Yes, I was on OFF last night, Old Fashioned Football. Make sure you go check that out. A lot of fun. We were talking about the AFC East. And Jamie brought up in the chat the write article on pillow fighting, because we were talking about all the things that I write articles on. As soon as I can find odds on it, we're working on the bosses to try and get that done. So that'd be a lot of fun. And then, okay, this chips and queso thing, Rod. Miranda, she sticks her chips in the queso and waits, like lets them sit in the queso and waits until they're soft. She says soft. Justin and I agreed soggy is the correct terminology. And then she eats them. What do you have any thoughts on that?
No, well, okay. First and foremost, I don't want to piss off Miranda. I've learned early on. I don't want to know. That is very strange. I know
it's wrong, Rod.
Yeah.
It's not strange. It's wrong. It's horrible. Queso and chips is the greatest food invention in the history of mankind, and she ruins it. I love Miranda. I told her she used to be my favorite host until that, but she's absolutely wrong.
No, I do. I can't do soggy. Okay, I mean, I can if it's nachos and like loaded on top with like beans and all that stuff, but that's different. But that's not letting it sit in there.
Like the crunchy chip, you dip it in the queso, and it's a vessel for the queso, and you just let it get soggy. And oh man.
Okay, so note to self: go to the place where they sell groceries and buy some chips and queso today, because I now want some.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Queso sounds very good.
Yes, it does.
It is Friday, Rod, so I think that could be on tap today.
I don't know how other people celebrate out there, but definitely chips and queso on the docket for me today. On the docket, while I watch this race, this Rackley Roofing 200 race in the Truck Series. So let's do this. Let's start giving out our DFS plays, because there's really nothing that we haven't talked about all week, right? That's breaking news. So
yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it all.
Yeah. So let's set this up. All right. The Rackley Roofing. Oh no, that's the truck race. Well, let's do that. Rackley Roofing 200
on our truck guys.
Yeah, and then we'll do our commercial break and come back and give our proper plays out. But Rackley Roofing 200, 150 laps around this 1.33 mile paved track for 199.950 miles. As we mentioned before, there's a couple of drivers in there. Brendan Queen is in there. Who else is in there, Cody? I know you're excited to say his name.
Clint Boyer, he's in there. That's kind of it. This is the final race of the Triple Truck Challenge. That's why there's no Cup Series guys in this one, and they're all in the Xfinity Series race. But yeah, that's kind of your notables there, Rod.
Yeah. So I'm going to start. No, I'll let you start. Did you have one particular DraftKings?
Honorable mention to Corey Haim, 11,000, because he's going to dominate this race.
Yeah.
And then, Rod, I would like to go down to Mr. Dean Thompson, 7,200. He's been really good, and maybe we should have talked about him on the betting episode. But again, with only top 5s, there's not top 10s. But DFS, great place for Dean Thompson. 39.1 points at Charlotte, starts 11th, finishes in 10th. So wouldn't have been a great way to bet on him, but great for DFS. Kansas, 50.9 points, starts 22nd, finishes 8th. Again, not really going to be able to bet on him, but solid run. He's had some really strong days, 29.2, 43, 50.7. He's had some really, really good days. A couple of bad ones, right? At a minus 17 in there, a minus 0.08, but had some very strong days from Dean Thompson at 7,200. Guy that needs to be mentioned for the weekend.
May I also throw out Stephen Parsons? We don't talk about him almost at all, right? He's driving that number 75 Henderson Motorsports. I almost said Hendricks. Henderson Motorsports truck, but very solidly having dare I say, a decent season in 6 races that he's actually taken the track on. He's averaging 37.3 fantasy points per race at a $6,800 budget. That doesn't look flashy, But when you're spending $6,100 and getting a 17th place finish a couple of weeks ago at Gateway, when you're getting a 9th place finish at the speedycash.com 250, when you're starting 25th and finish 18 in the, I think the Weather Guard was at Bristol, right? So, and then, 6th place at Daytona, the guy's actually doing well fantasy wise. I mean, you don't want to bet on him, and there's no ever way to get in on a bet on Stephen Parsons, but $6,100, I feel like that's a very, very sneaky DFS play for those of you looking for salary relief in the truck series.
Yeah, I like it. And I think that that truck's always been a good truck. It's always just run the partial schedules. They select things, but the way that they pick their schedule is based on, okay, here's a place where we can show up and have a good day. They're not just, spending every penny to try and make it to the track every week and run last. Like they actually put some thought into it and manage it very well. So when that truck shows up, it's generally pretty good. And Parsons has been a good driver. Maybe learned something from his dad and his uncle back in the day, obviously, as well. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, not a name we bring up very often at all. So, is there an underdog play for the truck series that you are partial to?
Yes, absolutely. Rod, do you have one? Because I hadn't got that far yet.
No, you haven't gotten that far yet. That's all right. We talked about it a little bit. Look, for Tyler Ankrum, his better than or worse than number is 11.5. I'm taking the better than. When we talked about it on the betting show last night, I mean, for Tyler Ankrum, he's going to have a top 10 finish. I know he's going to have a top 10 finish. I think he's going to have a higher finish than that. But for our purposes, 11.5 is his number. So give me the better than on that in that instance.
Don't overthink it, Rod. Corey Heim better than 2.5. He's going to come out. And I was listening to the NASCAR betting preview show this morning. They had their Truck Series episode drop. And we're pretty much lockstep with them on a lot of things and kind of see this race playing out the same way that they do. So I don't want to say that I hope for a boring race, but I hope for no non-caution. I'm team no chaos at the end of this thing. And give me Corey Heim better than 2.5.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
That's right. Yep.
All right. Speaking of not breaking. Can Saturday get here fast enough? Or tonight? Can tonight get here fast enough? All right, let's talk about all of our DFS plays. But first, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Officially, Pick 8's now live. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog's going to automatically double flex your entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry with more picks to make and extra ways to win. The excitement is higher than ever. Can you tell? Because my voice is getting super excited. I want to tell you all about it. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. And you can also use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Can't wait to make Pick 8. In fact, we're going to give you 6 plays at the very least, and you can make the other 2 on your own. If you miss those, who cares? You'll hit all 6 of them that we give you. Or if by any chance one of ours hits or misses and yours bit, then you're even better off. So don't miss your chance to try it all out before it's gone. Plus, if you're already a user, which most of you already should be, congratulations to you. Deposit between now and UFC 303 for 10% bonus cash. Sign up today with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Circa Survivor and Circa Million. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions, pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. Use the proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go hang out with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. Date's already circled on my calendar. We'll see if we can make it work. Would love to go out and hang out with Sean and Ryan in Las Vegas. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yes, it would. All right, Cody. Well, as we do each and every week for our DFS episodes, normally we will give you all 3 from one series when we have the opportunity to. But since we got a full weekend, we'll give you Xfinity and we'll give you Cup Series drivers as our favorite. We won't give you the building blocks. We'll just give you a play that we like from each one of those series. So, Cody,
I like it,
start
Rob.
it off.
First up for me, we're going to go over to Xfinity Series. Scroll down the board a little bit. $8,000. Riley Herbst is tucked in there. Nice and tidy. Love Riley Herbst this weekend. He has been really, really good on this track. Can he be relied on a week-to-week basis? Not always, but for the most part, yes. 3 starts here. Average finishes is 5th. So he's finishing inside the top 5. 10th in the first year here, but then 3rd and 2nd the last 2 seasons, and like running inside the top 10 throughout the day. Was, pointed stages in all 4 of the last stages that they've been here, has been running solid. You go back and you look, and even though it seems like things have been rough, he's kind of figured it out the last few weeks. 8th place finish last week, 2nd place finish 2 weeks ago, 13th place, a 10th place. The last 4 races, things have kind of got ironed out a little bit for Riley. You go back to the race at Dover, had a good day going there, had some fastest laps, obviously then ran into some issues like a lot of drivers did. But Riley Herbst this week, Rod, this is a track that he really, really likes. I'm feeling really good about him. I talked about him in the betting episode. I think he'll be a solid DFS play, especially it's like when you look at the board here, Gibbs at 11.5. He's expensive. You're probably going to want him because, he's going to be good here. John Hunter, 11.3. Allgaier, 11,000. Custer at 10.7. Chandler Smith at 10.5. Reddick at 10.2. Like, if you're going to spend up for some of these guys, you got to find some salary relief in some places. And I think Herbst is kind of in that next tier that has the ability to score you a solid day.
Yeah, for DFS, I feel way more comfortable with Herbst than I do on the betting side of it. I know you're pretty high on him in the betting side of it, but I feel like I don't have to have him reach a certain threshold in order to make the day good. Like I've said before, the difference between 10th and 11th, sometimes it's enough to lose you a giant contest, but other times, especially in a double up or a 50-50 or a cash game where the threshold's low, you have that flexibility to lose a point and be like, okay, well, that's fine. We can suffer that and still cash. So I like that. I feel more comfortable with Riley Herbst in that capacity than I would in the betting episode or the betting part of it. I'm going to jump up all the way to, not all the way, but to where Cody had said and talked about Cole Custer. Cole Custer 10.7. You gotta have to have Cole Custer in this season. He has the most top 10 finishes in the entire series. He has 13 top 10 finishes in 16 races. That means if you want to do back of the napkin math, he's only missed the top 10 3 times in the entire season. That is insane to think of when you think of Chandler Smith and Sheldon Creed are the only 2 in double digits in that category at all, let alone 13 out of 16. And you just look at his track record here, right? He's got 1 race on this track as an Xfinity driver. Back in 2023, he started on the pole, led 32 laps, ended up finishing 9th that day. Not a very good finish for him there, but again, 32 laps led. He finished inside of the top 10. You like that? You like the 3rd place at Loudon last week. Granted, he did start on the pole. You wish he did done better. You like that 6th place at Iowa. You like that 3rd place at Darlington. You like that 5th place at Dover, that 5th place at Texas. I mean, the only downside of Cole Custer overall is that he doesn't usually, he finishes worse than his starting position, which is kind of a drawback. But when you're only talking a couple of places, it's not bad. His average start 5.7, his average finish 8.6. However, like I said, that does land him as 5th best in fantasy points per race overall this season. So his price is warranted. His ability to finish inside of the top 10 is definitely without any sort of comparison. However, if you get a little bit iffy about losing a couple of points here and there, then this is not maybe your play. But at 41.7 fantasy points per race, I mean, last week he led 114 laps. He scored you 83 points last week, 43 the week before that, 38, 37, 50, 77, 30, 38, 43. I mean, it's Cole Custer. It almost doesn't have to make much more argument than that. But yeah, if you want to pay up for one of these guys, the other guys up in this range, Allgaier, I love Allgaier. I do. And I'm going to talk about him in a little bit too. Nemechek, I'm not that high on Nemechek this week. I know he's driving a good car, but I don't know, Cody. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him come up and dominate the Xfinity Series when he comes down. So I don't want to take a chance on him.
In the 20 car he has. It's been the 26 car that's been the issue.
That's true. That's fair. But yeah, anyway, so Cole Custer 10.7. That's my Xfinity first play.
But yeah, I think it's a good call out because, I mean, really, let's be honest, right? You're looking at this Gibbs, Nemechek, Allgaier above him. You're going to try and play those guys before you even get to Custer, and then you're not going to have the money to play Custer for most people. So I don't think he's going to be as highly rostered, but he's got that upside. I mean, we've seen him just go out and fucking lead tons of. He can't seem to win them. He's got a little bit of Sheldon Creed in him, but he goes out, leads a ton of laps, and then just finishes solid. So gets the job done for DFS.
336 laps total this season that he's led. That's kind of insane to think of. So
yeah, pretty solid, especially for a guy that won a race. So
yeah, go figure. Well, he started on the pole. I mean, what the hell? You get it's like, well, he started in front. He just couldn't keep himself there. So, all right, we will give you some more of our favorite plays. Let's go commercial free. Let's do this. Let's tell you about Rhythm. We'll go commercial free. Well, but first tell you about Rhythm. If you're betting on player props and you need to download Rhythm, Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decision. Rhythm projections have been red hot for WNBA and for golf. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, Cody, I know that I am moving on to the Cup Series in DFS, and I think you are too. So let's go ahead and start making our Cup Series picks for this.
Let's do so, Rod. Gonna dive and try and find a little bit of value here, save you a little bit of money, and guy that can pay off big for you because he's been paying off big. Give me Todd Gilliland, 6,700. We talked about him on the betting episode earlier this week, Rod, but let me just read you off his fantasy points per. He's only $6,700, 40.7, 33, 38, 47.5, 44.9, 30.3, 43.3. 9 points. You had an off week. But the finishes he has been getting here lately and the amount of points that he has been getting, even led 19 laps last week, staying out and having some strategy, being up front for a little bit. But he's been having a very, very solid run as of late here. We know he signed that multi-year deal. The first was he the first front row driver ever to have a multi-year deal in the Cup Series? I think because they've always just been 1-year deals for such a long time. Got that multi-year deal. He's feeling good. He's running good. We've talked about Ford kind of figuring some stuff out, especially on the intermediates. So I like it. 17th place at Charlotte, 14th at Kansas, even a 15th at Darlington. Some good runs on intermediate tracks. That's what this is. Since that Kansas race, tied for the 6th best average finish in the Cup Series with Tyler Reddick. Rod, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, all these guys, and he's the 6th best finish since Kansas on average. So I think that Rod's getting housekeeping checking in there in the hotel. So we'll see. Rod's he's coming right back. But
I'm here. Don't worry about it. We're all good.
I just heard a woman's voice and I'm like, Rod's not at home. That's not his wife. do you need anything, sir?
No, I'm all good.
Oh, that was great.
The glories of live entertainment. But go ahead. Continue on your point with Todd Gilliland.
That was the end of my.
That was the end of it. Good.
Todd Gilliland. So I think he's great value at this price for what he's been doing. He's been super consistent lately.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you put him on there because I was just on the edge of putting Todd Gilliland in my lineup. So now I was like, but I think you skewed me in there. I just get scared. I mean, when he does run with the squirrels and get his nuts cracked, it's always an adventure.
He hasn't been running with the squirrels. He's been running good.
This is true. Well, the squirrels are up front too. Don't get me wrong. There's some squirrels up there as well. All right. My next driver is Erik Jones. Call me a bleeding heart for Legacy Motor Club. I'm sorry, Legacy Motor Club. But Erik Jones I feel like he's been getting a raw deal lately. He's 86 or $6,600 rather. I need to get my prescription checked, but he's $6,600. I feel like this is a great play that no one's going to want to play. But when you look at what Erik Jones has done, I mean, he's averaging 27.4 fantasy points per race at $6,600. That's really actually a pretty good investment. I mean, he got you 49 points last week, right? He finished 13th place. For Erik Jones to finish 13th, something had to go right. 43 points a couple weeks before that in Sonoma, 13th in Illinois at Gateway, 39th at the Coke 600. Oh, I'm sorry, the Coke, what is it, 274?
374.5.
That one, right? 19th place, 18th place. He's finished very well all over the place, right? And so this is one of those overlooked plays that I think you're going to get a little bit of leverage on the rest of the field because he's just doing better than expected. And on this track in particular, right? 23rd place start in 2022, finished 11th. 23rd place start in 2023, finished 8th. So guess what? Erik Jones actually knows how to run around Nashville, and that may do him well in being able to run well this week as well. On a $6,800 salary, if you're going to get a top 15 finish out of a guy, especially if he starts in the mid 20s, I mean, 23rd place finish in both years, right? And this is why his first one was a 9th place start, ended up being a 19th place finish. So, you take that into account, but the last 2 years have been great for Erik Jones here. And also this season, like I said, 13th place at New Hampshire, and then 19th at Charlotte after a 34th place finish, a 30th place start at Darlington, 19th place finish, 27th place started in Texas, 19th place finish. I just wanted to move up. That's all I wanted to do. Finish in the top 15, start somewhere in the 20s, get me some points. And I think Erik Jones can do that for us, especially at the price.
Yeah, not too much of an argument. I still don't know if I trust the back fully, but we've seen him have some pretty good runs here over the last couple of weeks. So I think that he's maybe starting to answer those questions, and he's been solid here in the past. So no argument from me, Rod.
Indeed. All right, Cody, who is your next driver?
Yeah, give me Chase Elliott, 9,700. You got Larson at the top, 10.5, then Hamlin at 10.3, Bell, Truex. Elliott is the next guy on the list. We talked about him on the betting episode, but Rod, just the king of concrete. He's so good at concrete races. Ryan Overdyke Fantasy Race in the next gen at concrete intermediate tracks, which is Nashville and Dover. Chase Elliott is the only driver with 2 wins. His average finish, 4.4, ranks the best. And then last year, 4th place finish, 5th in total speed ranking, 5th driver rating, 2022, led 42 laps, dominated in closing time, 4th best total speed ranking. And he's had a pretty solid season, right? We've talked about the top 20 streak, only the 4th driver in the modern era to do it this far into the season through 18 races. And he's been having good runs. He won at Texas, again, high speed intermediate, 5th place at Dover, the other concrete track that's a high-speed intermediate, 7th at Charlotte, even at 8th place at Bristol, another concrete track. Running up front, gonna continue to stay up front. I'd like to see him lead a few more laps because I think we're going to need a little bit of that, but I think he's capable of that. And maybe this is the week where the switch flips and all of a sudden Chase Elliott just leads a ton of laps and wins this race because this is the type of track where that can happen for him.
Yeah, and I have him obviously pretty high in the betting episode too. So, I think in the DFS it translates as well. I think he and Larson are both going to get in the top 5. Spoiler alert. So that would make for a good DFS day out of a guy like Chase Elliott. So I agree with you on that one. It's the guy I talked about on both betting episodes, right? Well, yeah. The only 2 that he's involved in is Ross Chastain. He's at $9,000. Something about Nashville and Ross Chastain, he just loves this, right? He won here last year, led 99 laps. He started on the pole. The year before that, he started 7th and finished 5th. The year before that, he started 19th and finished 2nd. He led 4 laps in that race as well. Ross Chastain loves him some country, loves him some cowboy boot. I don't know what he loves, but he loves it. In fact, he's probably got that guitar at home, sitting there all nice and pretty for him. And this season so far, as far as Ross Chastain fans go, you've been disappointed and you've been frustrated, but for DFS, not too bad. 36.9 points, 36.8 points rather, fantasy points per race. Last week, he got you 32 on a 10th place finish at Loudon, 45 in Iowa, 46 in Sonoma, 35th or 35 in Gateway, 39 at the Coke, whatever, not quite so whatever. But yeah, you talk about places like Dover, right? He started 22nd, finished 12th in that one. So that was a pretty good DFS day as well. So yeah, Ross Chastain just putting in decent DFS days. It hasn't Phoenix. He started 12th, finished 6th. Hasn't been anything flashy or sexy, but he's putting in the work to give you solid DFS days. And if you can get 36 points out of a $9,000 salary, you'd want a little more. You'd want 40, you'd want 45, but I'd take 36 from Chastain because I know the upside for him is to win and to get you 50 points, to get you somewhere in there and lead a bunch of laps. So yeah, I like Ross Chastain at $9,000 for my second Cup driver.
I still don't know that I'm on the watermelon train this week, Rod, but I'll be cheering for you and your watermelons.
I hope my watermelons end up winning. All right. Well, then let's move on and recap this DFS part of it before we head on to the underdog part of it. Cody gave you Riley Herbst for the Xfinity race at 8,000 for his driver. I said Cole Custer for the Xfinity race at 10,700 would be my driver. Cody gave you Todd Gilliland at 6,700 as his driver for the Cup Series. I said Erik Jones at 6,600 would be my Cup Series driver, as well as Elliott for Cody at 9,700 and Ross Chastain at 9,000 for me. All right, Cody, let's move on to Underdog. The premise is simple. They give you a projected finishing position. You say whether or not that driver will finish better than, which means better than, or worse than, which means worse than that projected finishing position. We'll give you each one from the Xfinity race and then 2 from the Cup Series race. So, Cody, where are we starting?
Yeah, give me Sammy Smith tomorrow in the Xfinity Series race, better than 10.5. Another guy that we talked about on the betting episode, Rod. A lot of crossover this week, but he's been consistent, and that's been the thing with Sammy Smith. Just, not overwhelming you, not leading a ton or winning these races, but running solidly. 9 top 10 finishes in 16 races. That would be on the better than side. That's what you're looking for. You go back and you look, 3rd place at Charlotte, 8th place at Texas, 8th place at Las Vegas. Some of the comp tracks that we've been to for the Xfinity Series. I like Sammy Smith this week to just show up, give you a nice top 10. Like we can't bet on top 10s in Xfinity, which is unfortunate because if we could, I would probably definitely have that bet. But I'm glad that the fantasy projection on Underdog's 10.5. He has to get in the top 10 for this. I can use that in my lineup over there. So it's pretty simple, but Sammy Smith has just been quietly consistent. That's what you're looking for here. Sammy Smith, better than 10.5.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's a JRM driver, top 10. You don't got to sell me at all. So I absolutely love this one. Speaking of JRM drivers, let's turn our attention to another JRM driver. This one, I wish I had the half of finishing position for this one. Double check, Cody, if I may have missed a 0.5 on this one, but I got Justin Allgaier. His finishing position was set at 4. I'm hoping it is 4.5 because I want that extra half position. But even if it's 4, I'll still take it. Justin Allgaier, nope. Cody's shaking his head. Better than 4th place then. It makes it a little more difficult because last week at Loudon he finished 4th, but he did finish 1st at Darlington, 3rd at Texas. He did finish. Those are 2 of his better finishes. And on Nashville proper, right? He won here 2 years ago. He finished 2nd in 2021. And then you got to go all the way back to 2011. Justin Allgaier is one of the very few drivers in this Xfinity Series that has a long history at Nashville. How long? 2009 to 2011. He had history there before coming back in the current modern era. But in that, he's got 2 top 3 finishes, 2 top 2 finishes, I guess, in the last 3, if you really want to go back that. But he's got a 4th place finish in 2011 in the 31 car, a 4th place finish in 2010 in the 12 car, a 4th place finish in 2010 in the 12 car, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, Justin Allgaier has been one of the better drivers, obviously, this season. He's definitely a guy. He's got the win, so he is locked into the playoffs. Thank you, NASCAR interns. For the Xfinity Series, though, it's a little more locked in than any other than the Cup Series or the Truck Series. But yeah, I mean, he's had some good runs this year, and especially lately with that 4th at Loudon, 2nd at Portland, even in the road course race, and 1st at Darlington. He's just got to have to avoid all of the anvils and all of the pianos and all of the elephants that fall out of the sky on top of him. But Allgaier's got it in him. I think he's got it in him this week on a track that he's pretty much damn good at. I know last year he got a 15th place finish, but I think that's an outlier, not necessarily a pattern. So yeah, give me Justin Allgaier better than 4th.
He should be good here. I don't know if the number's as big as I would like for it to be, but I'll ride with you on this one, Rod. Switching gears over to the Cup Series, I am going to go with a worse than Rod. This one could be a little bit shocking to some people, but give me William Byron worse than 8.5. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, what are we doing here? William Byron, when you think of him, Rod, he's been one of the most consistent drivers. He's one of the guys that has 3 wins. He's been dominating this season, all of this stuff. I get that. But you go over the last 8 races through the Cup Series, 3 finishes better than 8.5 for William Byron. If you don't want to toss the All-Star race in, that was a clunker for him as well, finishing in 19th place. He showed speed earlier this year on the 1.5s, 3rd place at Texas, 3rd place at Charlotte as well. But outside of that on the comp tracks, worse than 8.5 at Las Vegas, Bristol, Kansas, Dover. I'm not hitting the panic button on the number 24 car. Maybe if he kind of continues a little slump here, you're going to want to start looking at his championship odds because we know he's going to bounce back. I don't know if Hendrick has a long history, especially with Chad Knaus, of using the summertime to start playing with things and testing things, looking towards the playoffs. He's already got 3 wins. Is Chad Knaus have his hand in this and they're testing things with William Byron? I wouldn't be shocked. But only better than in 3 of the last 8 races. I kind of like how that's shaping up. And it seems like, because when you look at it and you initially think, you're like, wait, 0.5, of course he's going to be better than that. And then you're like, well, he's not been finishing better than that. So it's one of those things where name value, it feels like, yeah, he should be in the top 8. But based on the way he's been running, now we're seeing the Fords kind of running a little better as well. I don't think Byron's going to be in the top 8 here this week. So yeah, give me William Byron worse than 8.5.
Imagine a team having the luxury to just be like, meh, let's go out and see how this works today. Oh, that didn't work? Oh, well, that's fine. I'm sorry, Byron, you finished 14th. That's all right. You're still going to get your gazillions of dollars that you're going to get because of this. So, yeah, gotta love it. Another one, name recognition alone, right? Ryan Blaney. You would think that he would be a top 10 driver each and every week. You would think that Ryan Blaney would be able to finish better than 8.5 on this particular track. You might be wrong. You look at Ryan Blaney's track record here. There's been 2 finishes where he's crashed out, finished 37th and 36th. Now, the one where he finished well. He finished in 3rd place in 2022. So that's a bright spot, but in the middle of 2 bad sandwiches right now. You say to me, Rod, he's on a hot streak. He just won at Iowa. Yeah, but he actually finished in 25th at Loudon. That was a rough run, right? He had every opportunity to be able to stay where he was. He started in 2nd because of the metric, but just did not necessarily have it. And if you look at the total body of work this season, his average finish is only 16.4. His average start is 12.1. He was 24th at Gateway, 39th at Charlotte. He crashed out of that. 36th at Darlington, a DVD problem. I'm doing it again. A DVP problem, right? 12th at Kansas, 7th at Dover. So yay, but 33rd at Texas, 5th at Martinsville. Yay, but 19th at Richmond. It's tip, 16th at Bristol as well. 5th at Phoenix. Yay. It's just, his season has not been as consistent as a champion's should be. He's got the win, so he's well on his way to the playoffs, but I'm just saying, like, it just hasn't been the Ryan Blaney season that I think he wanted, that anybody wanted out of Ryan Blaney. So 8.5 is a pretty high number. That's a pretty hard threshold for a guy who's crashed out of this race in 2 out of the 3 years that he's been in it. So, and hasn't really shown the consistency to be able to post top 8 finishes each and every week. So give me Ryan Blaney worse than 8.5. My daughter's going to disown me, but I'll take it.
Rod, tell your daughter to go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com. I have an article out over there with some additional underdog plays. I actually make the counter argument for the Ryan Blaney here. So if you want my counterpoint, go check out that article there. Obviously, 2 finishes of 36th and 37th here don't help the case much. But if you can stay out of trouble, keep enough fuel in the car, that could be an issue too, Rod. I think that Blaney could be then. So go check that article out and get my thoughts there. Last one for me, Rod. Real simple. We've already talked about him today on the DFS side of things. Chase Elliott better than 6.5. I mean, he's been the most consistent driver in the field right now. He's got on that long top 20 streak, so you're not, it's not a Kyle Larson where, he's either going to win or he's going to finish in 36th place. Like he just consistently shows up and runs well. 4th place last year, won the race here in 2022. He's 13th in the first race here, but there was some fuel saving at the end of things, and then actually he got disqualified, so he finished last technically. But he's been doing really well. 1 Texas, 3rd at Kansas, 7th at Charlotte right there, 5th place at Dover as well. So Chase Elliott, better than 6.5.
I love it. All right, I'm going to close mine out with Brad K. I'm going to give Brad Keselowski his finishing position is set at 12.5. This is one where I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm going to take better than 12.5 on Brad Keselowski. This track has not been particularly kind to him in the 3 years, but he was in the 2 car that first year where he finished 23rd. That second year that very first year in his 6 car where he finished 29th, that was a way different Brad Keselowski than we're seeing these last couple of years, right? I mean, we talked about it even in 2022. We talked about it. It's just like this is the feeling out process. This is where Brad's got to get control over him and his team and everybody else around him. So he's got split concentration. He's not looking that all good. Well, 2023, what does he do? He comes back, finishes 11th on this track when his head is back on after getting things settled in. This season, he's got 9 top 10 finishes in 18 starts. Last week, I'm blaming everything on the rain last week. If it was bad, it's because of the rain. He finished 28th, but he did start 9th because of the metric, obviously, but did not have the car, finished 28th. But in Iowa, he finished 10th. At Gateway, he finished 3rd. At Charlotte, he finished 2nd. He won at Darlington, 11th at Kansas, 2nd in Texas, 8th at Richmond, 24th in Martinsville, okay, but 3rd at Bristol, 4th at Phoenix. You know me, I'm not good at math, but all of those seem to be better than 12.5 numbers. And all of those are tracks that are not, I mean, you can't compare anything to Nashville, but they are tracks that you can say, okay, well, if there is a track that is close to Nashville, this is a track that is close to Nashville. So with the exception of New Hampshire last week, everything else has been really good on these 1.5 and these just slightly under 1.5 tracks or even short tracks for Brad Keselowski. So whatever they got going on, and you talked about it just a couple of seconds ago, Cody, Ford's been looking pretty good lately. So I'm going to give a tip of the cap to Brad Keselowski and his finishing position that I think is set tip that cap I think it's set a little disrespectful at 12.5. I think he's very capable of a top 10 finish. So I think that's what he's going to get here this week.
I'm still suffering burns from Brad Keselowski last week. So I'm going to avoid Rod, but I do like to play.
We need an ointment sponsor to cover or to help heal those burns.
Yes. Yeah. It still hurts how fucking horrible he was last week in New Hampshire.
I know it sucks too. That was one of the biggest heartbreaks of the weekend. So, all right, Cody, that does it for our underdog play. Should we recap it for the folks so they can go do theirs? That's 6 of 8, guys. If you want to go out and pick the other 2 yourself, by all means do that.
Yeah, and if you're listening before the truck race here, toss a couple of those guys in there. And
that's true.
And you've got, I mean, there's the auto tab is loaded. F1 has stuff up for the sprint, I believe is what I had seen as well. So if you're listening live or here shortly after this is posted, like a ton of options as far as the motorsports tab itself goes. And that's not even talking about the NHRA and the USAC tabs that are also over there. But yeah, tons of really good stuff.
Very good stuff. All right, let's recap these underdog plays. Cody gave you Sammy Smith better than 10.5. I said Justin Allgaier would finish better than 4th. Cody gave you William Byron worse than 8.5 in the Cup race. I said Ryan Blaney would finish worse than 8.5 in the Cup race. Cody said that Chase Elliott would finish better than 6.5. God, can you tell we're almost done? And then I said Brad Keselowski would finish better than 12.5 in the Cup race. Cody, we're that much closer to truck racing. We're that much closer to truck qualifying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they should be taking the track here like real soon, shouldn't they?
Very, very soon.
Yep. What's the schedule look like today?
Right now, it's 3:44 Eastern.
Yeah. So in about less than an hour, we'll have practice, and then they jump right into qualifying, and then the race is at 7 Central tonight. So Beautiful. Love it. Truck Night in America. It's back. I'm glad we've made it through this week, Rod. Good luck this weekend in Nashville, everybody. I hope that win some money and have a lot of fun with all 3 series back in action. Gotta love it. Rod, in the meantime, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. There's a lot of stuff over there. If you could bet on it, there's a good chance that I've got an article on it. So check it out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Cody sounds like me about 2 years ago when I was writing about everything from Olympic curling, not curling. Did I write curling? I think I might even wrote
Olympics are coming up, Rod.
They are.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. But yeah, I was writing about everything. Cody's writing about everything. So yeah, check that out. Find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in about everything I got going on. Again, it's a lot less lately, but it'll pick up again once I get back in my normal confines, which is only going to be a few days away. So thank God for that too. But in the meantime, yeah, follow me there and just check out the Discord. Lots of, conversations going all the time in that Discord. So much fun. People throwing in extra bets and talking about stuff that's going on. So lots of fun to be had there. So in the meantime, everybody, enjoy your weekend. We'll possibly be back on Sunday with a recap, depending on time-wise, but definitely Monday for sure. So keep locked, keep that subscribe button going and all that other good stuff. So, all right, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.